Like I did introduce our guest and the topic for this evening, let me just bring our guest up to speed as far as the rules of Blunt Talk are concerned. But I would be very, very un-African and also very, very inhumane if I did not personally welcome them. Honorable Garry Nkombo, welcome back to Blunt Talk. I see that you are masking up and making sure that you live in the new normal.
Yeah, it's making sure that I live as I came. Because as you may want to know, coronavirus is real, and therefore I shouldn't be the one to contaminate the station, and the station should not be the one to contaminate me. I'm
Fantastic.
Glad to be here, Chatewa, once again. Good evening, our beloved viewers.
Fantastic. We are also joined in by, hopefully, as the program does proceed, the Honorable Member of Parliament for Kabwe Central, that's Honorable Tutwa Ngulube, who will be joining us in just a moment. But having said that, let me just bring our viewers as well as our panelists up to speed as far as the rules of Blunt Talk are concerned. You have up to 3 minutes. Our honorable guest this evening to answer a question that I will pose unto you. During the time that either is speaking, the other is not allowed to interrupt. Now, this show is highly interactive, and at some point, our viewers, those following us on the MTN Plus app, as well as those following us on Facebook, and as well as those following us on our simulcast, which include Movie TV, Movie 2, which is also available on the Topstar decoder in the Lusaka province. Thank you so very much. The number will be opened. When that is opened, you have got 75 seconds. That's 1 minute and 15 seconds in which you can add your comment or ask your question. During that 1 minute and 15 seconds, the trio of us, Honorable Ngulube, Honorable Nkombo, as well as Chatewa, cannot and will not interrupt you, our viewers. For our Facebook audience, thank you so very much, and we're looking forward to your comments as well as your contributions, and we will put them into consideration even as the show does go on. So those are the rules, and that is how we start Blunt Talk. All right, in the interest of time, let's just get started already, shall we? Honorable Nkombo, first things first, how do you describe the political landscape in Zambia right now? And your 3 minutes, sir, start now.
Okay, and I think the theme is connected to the new normal. That's what I heard you say. I would like to say that as a political party, we think that government of the day has clearly taken advantage of the COVID-19 pandemic and the new normal in order to reduce further the already non-existent democratic space in this country. What do I mean? What I mean is that there is discrimination in the manner in which the statutory instrument that governs the pandemic of COVID is applied in the nation. I want to further argue that we thought that the COVID-19 was a pandemic for all. But seeing that our democratic space has continued to diminish in the name of COVID-19 and coronavirus, we have been reduced to forfeiting our rights and freedoms to associate, our rights and freedoms to assemble, our rights and freedoms, to have a free conscience. And I think we'll get to that when we get into the meat of it. What I mean is that we have seen progressively how when it is opposition, and I want to speak on behalf of all the opposition political parties, not just the party that I belong to, that their space has continued to diminish under this new normal, because when it works for them, the government using the police, and not so much the health authorities, who are the owners of the SI that basically gives restrictions to who would assemble, how, when, and where, is that the police have taken over that SI in order to use it the way they have always used the Public Order Act, to selectively choose who must assemble, when, and where. And so I want to put it to the nation that the new normal has brought challenges to us as a political party, as also opposition parties, and also as those people who may be critical of government. And an example I can give you, you know how the young people of this country, in their quest to exercise their democratic rights to protest against the, the gold mining investment going to foreigners, they had to go, just a handful of them, they had to go in the bush in order to perform their protest online. All that demonstrates to the country how much space has gone away under Patriotic Front and President Edgar Lungu. I want to also argue that we have seen a new normal under PF where a voice can be attacked ferociously. Because of the way they have tightened up and have basically squeezed out of the democratic space, my president, the Bali, Honorable Hakainde Hichilema, has embarked on interaction with the country using radio stations and community radio stations alike. The next thing you're going to hear is that they're attacking Facebook, because Mr. Hichilema has also decided to communicate with the country via Facebook.
All right, your time is up, Honorable Nkombo.
Thank you.
This is Blunt Talk, and our topic this evening, we are looking at the political landscape in Zambia in the new normal. And our guest, Honorable Garry Nkombo, who is Member of Parliament for Mazabuka Central, and we hope to be joined by Honorable Tutwa Ngulube, who is the Honorable Member of Parliament for Kabwe Central. Since he's not here, I will go on and ask you my second question, sure. Honorable Nkombo. And you've answered how you describe the new norm, and you've raised quite a number of issues. When you say that citizens are being squeezed and they have been reduced to forfeit their freedoms, don't you think that you are just politicking around this matter? Do you have substance to back your statements, Honorable?
Well, I think it's plain to see, it's plain to hear, it's plain to witness that what I'm talking about are real issues that are happening in the country. It's not a secret that it all began with the Public Order Act. We have over and over and over again been able to follow the provisions of the Public Order Act, where when the police think that they cannot police your event of a public nature, a political nature, you make an appeal to the minister and you go to the High Court at that time when it was necessary. The issue here began with Twashuka grounds in the year 2012, I think, I stand to be corrected, where we went to have a meeting in Kanyama, and we were told by the police that there's simply no people to marshal you because all the police have gone to Levi Manawasa Stadium. We went to then the minister, who was, I think, a little bit considerate, accepted that we could go ahead, and then no sooner did the day come did we get a call that The police have still said, no, you're not going to have it. All right? We then went to see Judge Mumba Malila. Now he's still among the living in the Supreme Court. Honorable Jack Mwimbo and I went to his house and dropped an appeal, all right, which had been signed to grant us permission to congregate. What we saw Chatewa the day that followed is that the police who were unavailable were suddenly feeling the ground at Toshuka to just disallow us, and then we knew that trouble had begun. It has progressively gone on and on that when it is UPND, even if you get the notification approved by the police, and approved is even a wrong word to use because it sits on loggerheads with the rights and freedom of people to assemble. Even, and I'm using it loosely, even when you are permitted to do that, it is easy for a political party that is in government to come in and simply allow me to greet my colleague, Honorable.
Please, I want the long shot for this. I love what you're saying. You could have missed just a little bit of that, but you can actually do it there.
Oh, we said this side?
I'm right-handed.
Okay. Thank you.
That's Honorable Tutwa S. Ngulube joining us now. Honorable Ngulube, glad that you could join us. You can see that you're masking up. Thank you very much for coming through.
Thank you so much, and my sincere apologies for joining you late. It was circumstances beyond my control.
All right. I hope it was not COVID related.
No, not yet. Not yet. We'll let you know.
Fantastic.
I think it has to do with traffic and all this.
And of course, all this construction work, so roads are being closed and shortcuts are no longer there, are they?
Exactly. And I think Great North Road is also being expanded, and there's quite heavy traffic, from...
All right. So you're aware of the topic. I think we did share before the program started. We're looking at the political landscape in Zambia under the new normal. And while you were joining us, I asked the question, how do you describe the political landscape in Zambia? And Honorable Nkombo has submitted. I would love to hear your submission as well. And in the true spirit of blunt talk, you only have up to 3 minutes to answer that question. And Honorable Ngulube, your 3 minutes start now.
Thank you so much. I think the political landscape right now is favoring us, the ruling party, because if you look wherever you are looking, you see massive infrastructure development coming up. You see a lot of work being done. I think Zambia would have been a different country today if all the past governments actually worked the way our president, Dr. Lungu, is actually working. And I think you also know that today when you talk about a lot of things, we have actually scored as a patriotic front. We've done much work within a very short period of time. When we talk about matters to do with social social problems, for example, unemployment and employment levels, I think the PF has recruited within the last few years more than 40% of the current civil service. Talk about nurses, talk about doctors, talk about police officers, talk about soldiers, talk about almost all these areas. We know that the PF has actually done more recruitments in the civil service. The PF has done more of its work in terms of infrastructure. The PF has actually scored much more in terms of constitution-making processes, because in 2015, the president actually was in the forefront, ensuring that the draft constitutions of this country are actually made available, and I think the PF made it possible for the new constitution in 2016. And now, the people are actually saying, can we clear the lacunas? And I think the PF is spearheading the fight for a better country and also a better constitution.
All right. Thank you so very much. Honorable Nkombo, from the submission of Honorable Ngulube, he says there has been unprecedented, and I'm paraphrasing, unprecedented development, and his party has scored as far as the political landscape is concerned. I will give you your full 3 minutes, and those 3 minutes, Garry, start now.
Thank you, Chatewa, and thank you very much, Honorable, for joining this conversation. I think it all sits in how you describe development. All right? There are many things that you cannot divorce from real development. Because to start with, democracy is a bedrock of any development that anyone can talk about. To brag about infrastructure right now, in the midst of poverty, in the midst of a GDP growth of 2%, which does not permit for establishment and creation of real jobs, is a fallacy. I want to argue that, you know, my colleague has indicated clearly that he thinks that PF landscape is political landscape is favoring PF. I think that he needs to get some better lenses to understand why it should not come from a person of his standing as a lawyer to say the president has been spearheading the fight for constitution-making process. The process of constitutionalism and making process should never be a fight. It should simply never be a fight, because it should have a bedrock, a center pivot of consensus. And so when you put it as a fight, I'm not even surprised now, because I've seen something that I thought was beneath any government, that they could actually, for the first time ever since Zambia became a republic, we have seen PF advertising a bill. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, a bill is a good
document. You know, in a billboard, as if you're advertising boom.
But let me stop you at that point. Honorable Nkombo, let me stop you at that point. The billboards that you are talking about in question were not actually advertised by the Patriotic Front, neither were they advertised by the government. They were actually advertised by a CSO.
Let me tell you this.
In the name and fashion of the Young African Leaders Initiative.
Let me tell you this. Whether one likes it or not, Yali shall always and forever remain a surrogate of PF. You don't need rocket science to understand that. You can see, I mean, this is all simple. I mean,
let me stop. And at this point, I think I need Tutwa to come in. Tutwa, just bring us up to speed. You are a very senior member of the Patriotic Front. You are the Deputy Chief Whip at the National Assembly. Is Yali a surrogate of the Patriotic Front?
Well, saying Yali is a surrogate of the Patriotic Front would be as good as saying ZESCO is a surrogate of UPND. Who would accept such a statement? No one, because I think they are independent. You know, I think my brother, Honorable Nkombo, is aware that the issue of Bill number 10 has been in the media for quite some time now. And I think when we were talking about the referendum in 2016, in the general election, people underrated the fact that once they shoot down this referendum, they will end up affecting the constitution. So those clauses, for example, that did not find their way in the constitution because they were waiting for the referendum to go through, are the ones that made our constitution look like it's incomplete. Today, as we are speaking, we have the chiefs, right, countrywide, who are saying they need government protection. The protection that was taken away from the constitution, you know, the protection that the chiefs have always wanted is a kind of protection where it would be guaranteed. You cannot say that chieftaincies are guaranteed, yet a chief can be thrown out of the palace at any given time. You know, we are talking about retirees, you know, who when they retire, they want to be assured of their pension being paid on the last day, failure to which they will remain on the payroll. You know, we are talking about a lot of positives. I think Young African Leaders Initiative, as an NGO or as a CSO, has the right to actually educate the people of Zambia on what they think, you know, is good in the bill. Just let me stop you there at that point. And
For purposes of this discussion, because Yali is not here, we don't have Andrew Ntewewe, we don't have Isaac Mwanza or any of the Yali members to explain what they are doing. We will not delve so much into why did they want to go the billboard way and back and forth. But there is a statement that came from Garry that I want you to make a consideration. He says, it's for the first time in this country that a bill has had to undergo that kind of marketing. How do you respond to that?
Well, that could be a statement capable of, being verified or not being verified. I'll tell you that when the ladies...
Let's start with the first one. If it is verified.
If it is verified that it's the first time, I'll tell you from my little knowledge that when the women and the women movements wanted stiffer punishments for sexual offenses, the Penal Code Amendment Bill was proposing that even for offenses like sexual offenses, let me take it this way. Indecent assault, indecent assault, rape, child defilement, and everything else, people wanted stiffer punishments. Others were even calling for, what do you call this, castration.
Yes.
And also, we saw billboards. We saw billboards being placed in various parts of the country. When the ladies' movements or women movements were fighting for GBV cases to be stiffened, we saw in various parts of this country billboards actually talking about gender-based violence and so on, and all those bills. So it's not unique. It's not unique because we saw people opposed to Bill number 10 going around the country, placing billboards, even making adverts in the media and everything else, casting aspersions and doing the negativities. So we want to state that what Yali has done has nothing, or there's nothing wrong with what Yali has done, because they are disseminating the information to whoever would be interested in knowing. And in constitution-making processes, speaking maybe now as a former lawyer, I always know a politician, I'll tell you that in constitution-making processes, there is a process called promulgation.
Yes.
Right? Even our Republican Constitution of 2016, it uses the word promulgate or promulgation.
Yes.
Promulgation is the process of amplifying the messages in the proposed changes to the bill. For instance, if you are going to change one comma in the Constitution, you must make sure that the whole country is aware.
Is aware.
That's
okay.
the process of
your time
is
up. Let me get to Garry. Honorable Nkombo. Again, it's the same issue. He says that, for example, he cited the issue of the NGOCC, the women's lobby, and the campaigns that they did run around issues to do with, the law becoming a little stiffer against people that were, hating or committing crimes against the female gender.
I heard him clearly. I heard him very clearly. And I want to argue that there's a fundamental difference between public awareness campaign on what may be deemed as an offense. And in this light, we're talking about his own example of GBV, okay? And also things like victim support. It is true that we must have billboards to make public aware about people who transgress in terms of taking away people's rights. Don't forget that GBV starts in a home. And we have labored over time that people who are victimized indoors, must come out, because sometimes the villains will sometimes be family members. You follow what I mean? There's a fundamental difference between that and legislation. This campaign is no longer in the public, because this campaign, the public can now no longer do anything about what's going on apart from try to lure, like PF have been doing. But the public needs to know that they gave legislative powers to Mr. Ngulube, Mr. Nkombo here, to do what their constituents desire. And so any member of parliament worth their salt should go to their constituents and say, here is a draft bill. This is what is being proposed here. My brother has indicated that, for instance, the PF government has dealt with the needs of the retirees. I think the opposite is true. It only took us to make the right noises for that clause to be plucked out of the law in order for the retirees to remain on the payroll until such a time that they get their full benefit.
Okay, let me stop you. Let me stop you. Let me stop you at that one, because you cite something that is particular.
My 3 minutes.
Just allow me. Just allow me.
Actually,
and
7
3
minutes.
Honorable Nkombo, I promise you, your 3 minutes are safe.
All right.
You are referring to Article 189 of the Zambian Constitution, as amended in 2015. What is the position of the United Party for National Development on that particular?
You cannot gratify people posthumously. All right? We think that the retiree must get his paycheck the last day he leaves employment, so that you do not carry this backlog of keeping them on the payroll until such a time that their dues are liquidated. That's our
okay.
position.
So for the sake of our viewers, let me just read out what Article 189 of our Constitution says. 1. A pension benefit shall be paid promptly and regularly. 2. Where a pension benefit is not paid on a person's last working day, that person shall stop work, but the person's name shall be retained on the payroll until the payment of the pension benefit based on the last salary received by that person while on the payroll. Honorable Nkombo, that particular part of our Constitution, do you feel doesn't need any amendment, does it?
Well, under the stress situation that PF has brought us in, that's where you get things like that. Ordinarily, a pension fund is a bank where at the last moment, the minute you leave employment with all your bags, they must give you your check to go to the bank. Then that would not come into play. What is coming into play now has been the inability for government to discharge their responsibility to pay the retiree the moment they say shalalapa.
Okay.
All right?
Granted,
now, in the NDF Act, I'm sure you know that there was an attempt to remove that.
Yes.
I'm sure you know.
Let me come in. Honorable Nkombo.
You can't have a government of explanation.
No.
Honorable Nkombo. Just before your time completely lapses, from your explanation, you try to make this appear as though it only applies to government employees. Granted, government is their biggest employer across board, but this is law. Anything, if I read back the preamble, any other legislation is
null and void.
Null and void to the extent that it contradicts this supreme law.
Absolutely.
So let's say Garry Nkombo Holdings, someone has reached the age of retirement and they have to leave. Would you want to keep them on the payroll until you pay them?
In an ideal world, I must have budgeted for that day when my employee leaves office.
I thank you.
Full stop. Simple answer.
Let me hear it. Let me hear it from Honorable Ngulube on the same thing. Tutwa, on Article 189, the same issue that Garry has raised. What is your take?
Yes, listen to the explanation from the people who made this proposal at NDF. Yeah, we must agree that this proposal didn't come from the PF, it didn't come from government, it came from the delegates at NDF. What was their explanation? Article 189, right? Article 189 of the Constitution talks about a person's pension benefit, right? A person's pension benefit is defined in the Constitution to include allowances, gratuity, you know, a salary, and everything else. And that's where the confusion comes in. How can an allowance be a pension benefit, right? Because what we know is that a pension benefit is the final payment you get after having served an organization. Now, the biggest challenge we have is that this clause is discriminatory. Clause 189 is discriminatory because it is only catering for people that retired after 2016. So how can we say those who retired after 2016 going forward, they should remain on the payroll? Those who retired before 2016, they can continue dying in their numbers. I want to demonstrate to my brother that the PF government, under the leadership of the late President Michael Sata and under the leadership of His Excellency Dr. Edgar Chagwalungu, have paid off the backlog of retirees. The last 28 years of retirement benefits that were accruing, the PF was actually cleared up. If there's anybody remaining, probably people who retired a year or two before the 2016 Constitution. So the PF has demonstrated. The PF has demonstrated. Just last, I think 3 months ago, the government released 500 million. You know, we saw retirees sleeping at the railway stations. When the PF was coming into power, there were retirees sleeping at Intercity, at the railway station, at Pensions House, in minibuses, and everywhere else. Today, if you go there, even at Pensions House, you don't see any retirees. The PF cleared them. What we heard was that the people wanted Article 189 to be redefined, to exclude allowances, to exclude gratuity, so that it only deals with a pension benefit in its true sense. I also want to tell you one thing. Article 189 in the next 10 years is going to kill all our pensions houses. Today, if I am a garden boy working for Honorable Nkombo's house, or at his farm, or anywhere else, right? Honorable Nkombo will be remitting my salary to me and remitting money to NAPSA. Now, in the event that NAPSA, for example, decides to fail, okay, on my last day, NAPSA says they don't have money to pay me. Should I continue being on Honorable Nkombo's salary, payroll? That is one danger that Article 189 came with. Secondly, talk about public service pensions workers, right? There are all those people who worked for BP Zambia, okay? We also know a lot of people are swindled by some politicians, right? The question is, on whose payroll are they going to remain? For a company that has gone under liquidation, for instance. So, we want a law that will not only be on a piece of paper, but we want a law that will be very easy to follow. Today, as we are speaking, we have companies which have been accused of having swindled retirees of their pension benefits, right? So, should these retirees go back to their employers and say, I have been swindled by this pensions house, I want to continue getting my salary? The answer is no. So, what we want is an Article 189 that is going to be very clear on whose payroll. Because, let me read it for you. I know you might be interested in knowing what I'm talking about. At the end, it says, where a pension benefit is not paid on the person's last working day, that person shall stop work, but the person's name shall be retained on the payroll until the repayment of the pension benefit based on the last salary received by the person while on the payroll. Now, the question is on whose payroll? Because, for instance, Tutwa Ngulube and company has paid you off all your salaries and then has also been paying to NAPSA. But if the pensions house is at fault, Article 189 is going to create favorable grounds for abuse. And then also, Article 189, apart from being discriminatory, all right, it also encourages cheating.
Your time is up, Honorable Ngulube. Plus 260-978-594-682 is the number that you can call us on, and that number will be on your screen just about now. So it's plus 260-978-594-682 is the number for you to call us up and be a part of the conversation right here. We have a caller. Hello, good evening. You are through to Blunt Talk. Very fine, thank you. Give us your name and where you're calling us from.
My name is Mr. Muyunda. I'm calling from Mungu.
Womuyunda kwa Mungu.
Yeah.
Your 1 minute 15 seconds start now.
The lawyer by profession.
I beg your pardon?
My name is Mr. Muyunda, calling from Mungu.
Yes, we can hear you. Go.
Yes, sir. Yes, I just want to advise Mr. Ngulube just teaching the public, because the public pension board, people who retired up to 2017, up to now, have never been paid. You can go tomorrow to the public pension board. There's people say, Army, Air Force, National Defense. The people who were paid, they were only those who have got 700 and below. Those 1 point something and above, they have never been paid. Ngulube, can you go tomorrow? You are a professional lawyer, my brother. Go there and find out. You are just cheating the public. Thank you very much indeed. Bye-bye.
Plus 260 978 594 682 is the number for you to dial. Plus 260 978 594 682 is the number to dial. You are now through to Blunt Talk. Good evening.
Good evening.
Your name and where you calling us from?
Monga calling you from Lusaka.
Your name again?
Mr. Monga calling you from Lusaka.
Monga in Lusaka. Please, your 1 minute and 15 seconds start now. Go ahead.
I just want to take this opportunity. I know this issue has obviously been somehow tackled by Honorable Tutwa. I just want to let him not say that he was mentioning that retirees have been paid, those retirees who are sleeping on the rail line, who are spending night on the bus and the like. Just want to let him know to say there are some, actually most of those retirees who spend sleepless nights at means of justice. They haven't yet been paid their money. So I'm just taking this opportunity to ask him to say he should try it out and please help us to get that money, because I'm one of them and my father died a long time ago, and they should at least help us to get that share of money. I just wanted to take this opportunity.
All right, Monga in Lusaka, plus 260 978 594 682. That's the number that you're dialing. You're through to Blunt Talk. Good evening.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, thank you. What is your name?
My name is Cleopatra Chimbu, and I'm calling from Monze.
Cleo in Monze. Cleopatra, your 1 minute 15 seconds start now. Go ahead.
Yes, I want to disagree with the Honorable on what he's talking about today. I think as we are obsessed, we don't need it. And there are a lot of things which are going bad in this country because of the PS government. Personally, I completed the 2015 for the investors that haven't been employed up to now. Why is it that they are recruiting? Which people did they recruit? So let me, Honorable Tutwa, tell us exactly the plain truth about what they are doing as PS government. Because as a youth, we are now obsessed with their ruling capacities. Thank you.
Cleo, we thank you. So we have got a unigrad class of 2016, UNZA. It says they haven't been employed, and I find this a little interesting because they are from Monze. So who wants to go first in responding to the issues? There was a lot that was thrown to you, Tutwa. Would you like to go first?
Yes, let me refer Mr. What was his name?
Muyunda.
Yes, Mr. Muyunda was
From
talking
Mongo.
about. The line wasn't very clear, but I think if I heard clearly, he was talking about pensions benefits not being paid. Yeah, I think what you need to note also is that...
No, that was Mr. Monga in Lusaka.
that was
Muyunda
Mr.
was
Monga.
from Mongu, yes.
Okay, no, I'm talking about the first one. I don't know
talked
whether...
about pensions too.
The pensions, yes.
Yes.
Look, most of these people who worked for government and were not paid their pensions benefit have been paid. It's a fact. It's true. It's a fact. If there are those who have not been paid, it's unfortunate, but I know that the Ministry of Justice has been requesting for verification. Okay? Those who say my father worked for such a company and he retired and he wasn't paid, they've been looking for documents to prove that. And once the documents are availed, they've been paid. And I think quite a number of people who have not been paid are those who have complications Okay? But of course, I know that quite a number of those with complications have been taken care of, and the PF government will make sure that they are paid. I also know that the issue of the lady who was saying people have not been recruited, the 2016 group has not been recruited. Well, the truth of the matter is that we all know that government has been recruiting. Not everyone has been recruited, yes, I agree with you, but the PF government has done quite a lot in recruiting. When they recruited recently 400 doctors, and I want to tell you that Kabwe Central Hospital received about 16 doctors. For the first time in many, many years, a district like Kabwe receiving 16 doctors, it was a boost to our hospitals and clinics around. You know, we know that all this was done by the president when he pronounced during this COVID, we need more health personnel. We also know that the government recently, just in 2019, recruited more than 3,000 health personnel. This is in addition to the other 15,000 and the other 25,000 health personnel that were recruited.
But Tutwa, do you think it matters for someone like Cleopatra? She says she's a unigrad from...
Yes, we need to know why. Look, there's a belief in Zambia that when you are a graduate, you must be recruited by government. I don't think so.
All right.
I'll tell you that myself, I'm a graduate of the University of Zambia, just like my older brother here. And we need to teach our people and our graduates. We need to teach our people and our graduates that, look, going to university is one thing, right? And waiting to be recruited by government is a probability. It's a probability. We don't know what qualifications she has. Of course, government has a lot of departments. RATSA right now is recruiting. Everywhere else, almost everywhere else, there are vacancies. Don't just sit and say government will recruit me. Some of us are on the streets working for ourselves. We are graduates. We are working for ourselves. We are not waiting for government to recruit us because, trust me, government will not recruit everyone.
Just in the interest of time, let me come to a very important issue in the line of our topic. Honorable Nkombo, an incident happened in Monze where the presidential motorcade was not only booed, but there are also reports of people pelting various things, from stones to whatever that went on. The statements that came out included that those people that did that were UPND supporters or members. Your take?
Well, I think that you reap what you sow is how I'm going to answer your question. President Lungu has been to many parts of this country. This is the very first time that I didn't even get you right. Was it him who was booed or his motorcade? I just want to get it
the
right.
motorcade.
He was not in the motorcade.
What's the difference?
Help us understand.
I just want to get the facts right.
I think the presidential motorcade is very distinct, Garry.
Of course,
you know that it's a very distinct
of course,
thing.
yeah.
And the
Whether or not the president is physically there, as far as that orange flag is hoisted, the presidency.
No. If the
there.
orange flag was hoisted, it means the president may have been was in the car because the president moves with that orange flag.
Yes, sir.
Let me answer you now.
Yes, sir.
You know, those of us who were older then, in 1987, 88, 89, we used to frequent the Independence Stadium to watch soccer. And Dr. David Kenneth Kaunda always would come with his motorcade. Maybe my brother was still younger, but I suppose he knows the story I'm talking about.
School. I was not in diapers.
So at the time when government had done its time and had run out of ideas such as what we believe PF has, the citizens of this country, not another country, pelted eggs at Dr. Kaunda. They pelted orange peels at Dr. Kaunda in the stadium in Lusaka. Let me tell you, oppressed people, such as we feel ourselves, can only be oppressed for a limited number of times. And politics is cyclic. we are getting to the harvest time. And I just started by saying, you reap what you sow. Let me just explain to you. The people of Monze who are claimed to be UPND, go back in the 2016 election result and tell me that PF got 0 in Monze. The fact of the matter is that is untrue. What happened in Monze, for anyone to clear their thinking, is that there was an element of provocation in Monze. And had PF and police done what they did in Monze, in Mazabuka, I can assure you, my brother, there would have been mayhem in Mazabuka.
All right.
Well, let me explain. I need to explain to you, because my 3 minutes are not up. I need the public to understand. I need the public to understand is that what the police and PF did was highly provocative. They went and tore down any semblance of a UPND feature in Monze the night before. The police did that. The police and
where are the videos?
You have evidence for that.
I do have the evidence. The police and the PF went in the evening, the eve of the president's visit, and tore down anything and everything they saw that implied there was UPND alive.
Right,
people got agitated. They did not do that in Mazabuka, and thank God they did not do that in Mazabuka. Okay?
Thank you
so
very much,
the people
Garry.
of Monze were being reactive. It should be known so that people are not
your 3 minutes are up.
They were being
just looking at the time. Gary, please indulge me. Tutwa, please do come in now.
No,
on the same subject.
Honorable Nkombo,
my brother.
Are you telling the nation today that what they did in Monze was okay? Is that what you are trying to say?
Said, you asked me a question, I said oppressed people can only be oppressed for a certain amount of time.
So are you saying whatever they did in Monze was very fine? Is that what you are saying? As a leader like yourself...
You asked me a question, I must
yes,
answer.
okay, quite well. As a leader like yourself...
They responded to provocation.
If I were asked a similar question, I would actually state that whatever they did was wrong. I think what we need to do...
If you provoke me, I will not take your provocation with my hands in the back.
No, let me finish my argument, Honorable Nkombo.
Even the Bible says...
I am one of the few...
Please, Honorable Nkombo, in the true spirit of blunt talk, please do allow Tutwa to speak.
But he's engaging me, he's asking me, so I must answer.
No,
I must not seem to be dumb. He's asking me.
Mr. Chatewa, let me remind Honorable Nkombo.
Through me for now.
Let me remind Honorable Nkombo that whatever was done in Monze was wrong. Whether there was any tearing of billboards also, it was also wrong.
Absolutely.
So 2 wrongs do not make any right. And I also want to just remind you, sir, that I am one of the very few people who always come to campaign in Mazabuka. I always come to campaign for the PF in Mazabuka and in Southern Province in general. The environment in Southern Province is quite hostile, right? Because in Southern Province, they don't allow you to wear even a PF Chitenge t-shirt. During the campaigns, in the campaign period declared by ACZ, that's how provocative the situation can be. But we have tolerated that for a very long time. Now, we don't want this country to degenerate. I want to be free to wear my PF t-shirt in Monze, in Mazabuka, in Livingstone, in Lusaka, wherever. When the president is in an area like Monze, he is the president of all the people in Monze. Because one thing we know, and that we must actually register to our brothers in Monze and everywhere else, is that we as PF will not emulate what they did in Monze. We will not do what they did in Monze. We will be civil and we will respect them. I want to just remind Honorable Nkombo that in 2016, when we went to campaign at a place opposite or maybe near Katombora Reformed School, his own cadres or the UPND cadres.
I don't own cadres.
You know, you don't own any, yes, but I will remind you that they came trying to stone a helicopter. They came with all the violence that they can ever have to just try and disrupt the PF rally. right? And that is the reason why PF does not get very good votes in Southern Province, because people are not allowed to campaign freely. Now you can imagine, Mr. Chatewa, if all of us behaved like that, would there be democracy in Zambia? So democracy is not just for the ruling party, it is also for the opposition. So the fact that Honorable Nkombo is admitting that what happened in Monze was correct, I want to differ with him.
He's putting words in my mouth.
No, I'm not putting words in your mouth. I am smearing
reciprocal.
words. I'm smearing words
on
on
me.
your mouth so that you can know that you have confessed that.
No,
Look,
no, no. They
Honorable
gave
Jack Mwimbo.
a reciprocal treatment.
Honorable Jack Mwimbo.
Yeah.
Honorable Jack
He's not here.
Mwimbo was
He's better-
confirming.
you are better off talking about
Yes, of
me,
course.
because Jack
As
is not
earlier
here
member
to
of
defend
parliament, yes, he
himself.
was quoted in the media.
Yeah.
Honorable Jack Mwimbo was confirming that those were their cadres. Now, I want also to remind you, Honorable Nkombo, that as one Zambia, one nation, we do not need people to create dictatorial tendencies in their strongholds. Because for people from the UPND strongholds to cross over to the PF strongholds, they need to be given the freedom to do so.
Gentlemen, let's bring in some callers. You are now through to Blunt Talk. Good evening.
Hello, good evening, sir.
Good evening, thank you. What is your name?
My name is Kefas Chisange, calling from Kitwe.
Kefas in Kitwe. Your 1 minute starts now.
Thank you so much. Good evening, Tutwa and Nkombo.
Good evening, how are you, sir?
Mr. Kefas.
I'm okay. I have very few questions for Tutwa and Ngulube because I think he's a man who has been championing this Bill 10. He is at the center of Bill 10. Mr. Tutwa, can you tell the people of Zambia the reason why the PF government, through its surrogates, have deleted the Article 52 from our constitution? The reason why the PF government have deleted Article 68, 69, 70, 71, and 72. And the PF government should tell us why they have deleted Article 60A against subsection, should be subsection 4, where it says a political party should declare its money that they are going to use in the campaigns. An individual should declare their assets. Why has the PF government deleted all these clauses? And you are not mentioning to the people of Zambia. We have to know why you are not telling the people of Zambia. Because what we are seeing in the billboards are only about 4 or 5 clauses. Why are you not advertising all the clauses that you have repealed from
Kefas, thank you so very much. Your time is up. Really do appreciate that. That was a very direct question to you. In the interest of time, my director has just signaled to me that our phone lines are officially shut down. But we received a message here. Tutwa, this might be of your interest via our social media platforms. The Minister of Justice announced that the retirees would start getting paid by the 8th of June, which has not happened. On the 3rd of July, the Minister was asked on the same matter on the phone, and he said, ask the PS. We're going a little bit back on the issue of the retirees. This is a message that came through via one of our
for
viewers.
not keeping up to the promise of paying them their retirement benefits beginning a
We seem to have a clip for that, but in the interest of time, we won't accommodate that. But let me get the views from you, Honorable Ngulube.
Yes, first of all, I told you that there's a process of verification. I want to speak to you as a lawyer who represented some people, some former retirees, that even if I woke up myself today and say, I worked for UBZ, give me my money, they will not just say, here is the money. No. There's a process of verification. And most of these people who are being paid are being represented by lawyers through law firms. So the law firms are engaging the Ministry of Justice, and the Ministry of Justice, working with the law firms, are able to identify those who died, who are the rightful administrators. It can't happen in one day. quite a lot of work has to be done. And you know that in Zambia also we have a lot of fraudsters. People who come with a fake NRC, they will come with a fake death certificate, they will come with a fake, and a lot of those cases are being reported to the police. So the PF wants to pay the correct beneficiaries or the correct retirees.
All right.
Now, on the issue of Article 52 that someone wants to know.
52, 68, 69,
Yes,
71,
I'll respond.
68.
All those clauses in the Constitution that relate to elections, right? There was a proposal from the Electoral Commission of Zambia at the NDF. And their proposal was that, look, it's very difficult to administer elections in Zambia, especially if the clauses are in the Constitution, because you have to keep changing the Constitution. They were making a proposal that all these clauses starting from Article 47, Article 52, Article 68, Article 71, Article 72, and so on and so forth, must be put in the Electoral Process Act. My brother, Honorable Nkombo, was there in 2016 when they passed the Constitution. He also remembers that apart from the 2016 Constitution, they also passed the Electoral Process Act. The Electoral Process Act, number 35 of 2016, talks about all the processes in the electoral process, starting from nomination to election petition. So, ECZ was saying, why should we have one law in this piece of law, the other one in this one, and the other one? So, there's a proposal that these clauses be put in one document so that it's very easy to administer elections. Just like you can see people resisting with changes to the Constitution through Bill number 10. ECZ will not have it easy to administer elections for as long as these laws are entrenched, because election management is a process. Changing of this constitution in Zambia has proved to be something that doesn't happen every now and then. So Article 52 that it talks about can affect anyone. And let me just tell you, Article 52 can be used against a sitting president, it can be used against an opposition leader, it can be used against any presidential candidate or any member of parliament or council or anybody like that. So people should not celebrate that Article 52 has been removed, because as far as we are concerned and as far as we speak right now, Article 52 of the Constitution is still part of the Constitution.
Your time is up, Honorable Ngulube. Let me get to Garry on what unfortunately is my final question. There was an issue between the member of parliament, I presume for Choma Central, Honorable Cornelius Muitwa, and
it's not a presumption; it's a fact. He's the MP for Choma.
My presumption was because I wasn't sure which part of Choma exactly. Is it Central?
Choma Central.
Choma Central, yes. Choma Central Member of Parliament, Honorable Cornelius Muitwa, and Her Honor the Vice President, Madam Inonge Wina. Your take on what has built up. I'm sure you followed everything. At least you were in the House.
Yeah, I'll mark my 3 minutes. I just wanted to quickly respond to Honorable Ngulube and his allegation. I'm hearing for the first time that in Mazabuka people were pelting a helicopter.
Oh yes.
I would like to see the images of that. But you see, what is good for the goose is good for the gander. What I know Honorable Ngulube may wanting to hash down is the event of Shiwangandu, which the international community is aware about, where the Minister of Home Affairs in charge of police is presiding over a constituency. We saw how the former First Lady, Mrs. Mwanawasa, and our chairman of the party, Mrs. Nalumango, were going to be killed, and also Mr. Felix Mutati. So we should not gloss over these things and don't cover on people, because these are glaring images of how PF conducts itself. He himself, my younger brother, is got an attribute to him of breaking bonds. If you just turn off the cameras, you may find that my bonds are broken. And I want you to know that in this country, law is administered selectively. If I issued exactly that statement that Honorable Ngulube issued about breaking people's bonds, as was the case when our former vice president, you know, the fat one, issued in a metaphor. In a metaphor.
Gary, wait,
in a
wait.
metaphor. In a
Wait,
metaphor.
we don't
Garry,
know.
Who took that video, first of all, of me saying we should break people's bones? Where is the video?
Let me
Is
just
that
finish,
video
because I need to
authentic?
be protected.
Yes,
I've got
no,
to-
no,
Is
no.
that video
Tutwa,
authentic?
Tutwa,
I
Tutwa,
withdraw the
please
first
do
one,
not.
but one vice president of ours in the past used a metaphor that I'm going to come for your throat. He spent almost 2 years in court. Here's an MP who threatened to break bonds for
Whose
youths.
bonds did I threaten to
Ask the
break?
police to break the youths, disgruntled youths. But let me come to your question, Mwetwa. As far as I am concerned, Mwetwa is my hero right now. I'm much senior to him in parliament, but he is my hero, and that will not change. The debacle between Mwetwa, the speaker, and the vice president is a matter that requires soul searching. Okay, I have with me here documents, and I'll show my brother as we finish, because I've only got a second or two, that Honorable Minister of Finance, Mr. Alexander Chikwanda, in 2016, exact date 25th of February 2016, defied the order of the speaker to retract what he had said about the people of Southern Province and the UPND. 3 times. If I had time, I would quote, it's here.
Okay.
Where he simply said, it is against my conscience. That is on all fours with what happened to Mr. Mwetwa. And I'm not ashamed to say, Her Honor the Vice President is a mother figure to me. The country may even want to know that her husband, the late Arthur Winner, was the chief guest at my wedding when I married 28 years ago. It doesn't take away the fact that she misled the country. It doesn't take away the fact that we are peers when we are inside there. It doesn't take away the fact that Parliament compels us to be factual. It doesn't take away the fact that her and her government spokesperson, Dora Silia, were at variance, where Dora Silia said this was an act of criminality, and she said it was an act of a political party wanting to take change,
in the interest
regime
of time,
change.
Garry,
So
in
the
the
Vice
interest of
President,
time,
let me just put it clearly to you and the nation.
in the interest of
I
time,
am firmly on Mwetwa's side, and I'm with him in his spirit, I'm with him physically, and I'll stand by him. And until the Vice President, the one, the holder of the second highest position in the land, can desist from misleading a country. She said that when Soweto burnt. She said that when there was gassing.
all right, and
at
just in the
moment
interest of
we are
time,
talking, let me
we
just say,
don't want to get clogged out.
Sir, one last comment. Her Honor, the Vice President's statement was inflammatory to a
Okay.
point where some of us who belong to UPND, with a zeal, a quest to take over government, that's what we are here for. We are not here to play games. We want to take over
That's-
them.
All right.
If you tell
Let
the public,
me just get the reaction.
them against the
'Cause,
public to say they're the ones who are causing this trouble.
Gary,
We could have been lynched to death.
Honorable
So the
Nkombo,
Vice President
Honorable Nkombo.
was less truthful.
Honorable
Honorable
Nkombo,
Nkombo,
Honorable
allow the
Nkombo.
moderator to control.
Please,
I need
please,
to
please.
finish my
Let me bring it. Tutwa,
My mother
Tutwa,
was less
you only have 30 seconds, unfortunately.
In my 30 seconds, I want to challenge Honorable Nkombo to prove to me that the purported video
Breaking
where
bonds.
people are saying that I said break their bonds was actually me speaking about breaking their bonds. And I think this social media that people have now developed, where they can put words in someone's mouth and make a white president speak like a Bemba man, we are above that. First of all, I also want to tell you, Honorable Nkombo, that if you can prove to me that there is such a video, and it was taken by a person who identifies himself and comes and says, I'm the one who took this video, and you tell me where that video was taken from, I would definitely congratulate you. But you see, I am a public figure whom anything can be attributed to. I just want to tell you, Honorable Nkombo, that the behavior of my brother, Cornelius Mwetwa, let me just finish this line,
On Cornelius Mwetwa,
was
please.
a very serious. The conduct of Honorable Mwetwa was a very serious offense. Okay? Refusing to apologize on the floor of the House.
Mr. Chikwanda did it.
Of course, Mr. Chikwanda can do it, but let me tell you.
Because he's older.
No. Before Mr. Chikwanda did it before the 2016 constitution. Let me tell you one thing now. The danger that is there is that Article 72(3)(c), Article 72 of the Republican Constitution, sub-Article 3(c), if you behave in such a manner, you will be very lucky if your seat is not declared vacant. Members of Parliament should now know that, look, when you refuse to apologize in a manner that is so respectful and you justify...
You mean disrespect?
No. If for example, Mwetwa was a first offender.
No,
I know it's not
Honorable
here.
Mwetwa, not
Honorable Mwetwa,
Yeah.
my friend.
The big man.
Honorable
Now he's
Mwetwa,
the biggest
my
man in
friend,
the land.
and also Honorable Mwetwa, my colleague from university. I just want to tell you that there was no need whatsoever to demean the Vice President. Article 72(3)(c).
Okay, Article 72(3)
Sub-Article C.
3 and sub-Article C reads, and I quote, acts contrary to a prescribed code of conduct.
A member of Parliament can lose his seat for acting contrary.
To listen to your conscience.
For acting contrary to the prescribed code of conduct. The prescribed code of conduct in Parliament is when you are wrong. He has done it before. I took him on. I remember Honorable Nkombo was brave enough to apologize.
Well,
he's
I
a good
said
man.
I was going to go to court and challenge Mr. Speaker's
But
decision.
you haven't yet
And
done.
that
We are still
matter is
waiting.
pending court action. When the Speaker is out of his office, he'll answer for the things that
you went and said that I apologize, and it ended there. You didn't lose anything. I think a lot of other members of Parliament, including the MP, there are a lot of us. There are a lot of us who apologize. That's a prescribed conduct. So we must be very careful. You might want to.
What exactly was he supposed to apologize for, Honorable Ngulube?
There was a ruling. Remember, the history of that issue is that Honorable Mwetwa went to a media house and made disparaging remarks against the Vice President. There was a point of order in the House by Honorable Minister of Lands, Honorable
Where
Jim
did he
Kapata.
say that? Where did he say that?
No, I'm coming to that. I think there was, I don't know whether it's Prime TV
Diamond
or not.
TV.
Or Diamond TV, I'm not very
When
sure.
you're done, I'd like you to read this for the public. This
Yeah.
is another ruling by the Speaker
Wait a minute.
about things that happen outside Parliament.
Yes, not a problem. So, when Mr. Speaker made a ruling, they asked Mwetwa, Honorable Mwetwa Cornelius, to the bad boy from Choma, to go and apologize. You know, so he refused to apologize.
He called someone a fat man, he's calling another a bad boy.
Mwetwa is actually my bad-mannered friend.
A bad-mannered friend. Gentlemen, this is just about the time that we would have. I can tell you one thing, though, that our production team will be more than glad to host you two fine gentlemen very, very soon in the future to continue discussing a number of issues. This evening, we have been looking at this political landscape in Zambia in the new normal. On behalf of the amazing Blanto crew, Sedlis Nkonjera Gerard Jr., as well as Andrew Mwansa, Christopher Mvola, and the entire crew. My name is Chatewa, a.k.a. Dr. Pansi Paitana. Ambia kudaliseni. Pleasant viewing.